Former President Trump and 18 co-defendants have all waived their arraignments in Fulton County, Georgia, in the alleged election meddling case. They are charged with a combined 41 counts, accused of conspiring to overturn the 2020 presidential election in that state. Although the former president and several others will not be appearing in person in court today. Here to talk more about it, Jesse Weber, NewsNation legal contributor and anchor at the Law and Crime Network. Good to see you as always. So Trump and others have waived their right to be present at today's hearing. There will be cameras. What will we see? Walk us through the process of what happens in an arraignment like this.
Right. So an arraignment is just the time when a criminal defendant can have the charges read against them and understand what the charges are. Now, everybody in this case already knows what the charges are. They don't feel the need to make an appearance. They have waived that. The more central question, I think, for today, and I think that's going to be more pivotal, is the judge is going to have to decide whether or not to sever the cases of at least 2 or 3 defendants from the rest of the defendants. In other words, can they be tried separately from Trump and the others? And that's an important question that the judge is going to have to consider here, because it's not going to only dictate how prosecutors go forward with the case, but it's also going to dictate what Trump's case is ultimately going to look like, right? And I think that's an important question, because we always say, well, are any of these defendants going to turn on Trump? Are they going to take a deal? Is that a possibility? Absolutely, if prosecutors are open to it. The more important question is, are they running away from Trump? Because you have these defendants like Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesebro who are making these arguments, and you're going to hear it today, where they basically say, we are not involved with what our co-defendants are involved with. We're not involved with this fake elector scheme. That wasn't a part of us. If you bring that in, if we're tried all together, if you lump all these cases together, it's going to be prejudicial to my individual case. And I'll tell you, Marni, I am curious if the judge is going to be responsive to that and actually say maybe these cases should be separated and not everybody tried together at an October date, which I don't really see happening.
So for Chesebro and for Sidney Powell, what would be their legal argument to have the cases severed, and what types of things will the judge be considering?
Well, first, let's start with what the judge is considering. Now, my understanding is he's going to put the prosecution on the hot seat and say, well, how long is this trial really going to be? If you were to try everybody together, how many witnesses are you going to call? How many exhibits are you going to put forward? How long do you anticipate jury selection is going to take? That's a complicated issue because this case is very complicated. And I think for judicial economy, that may make more sense to separate the trials. Then again, you have to consider everyone's rights. Now, in terms of the Powell and Chesebro arguments, Chesebro is going to say, listen, I was just providing legal advice. That's all. I wasn't part of, trying to manipulate computer systems or voting machines. I wasn't part of these phone calls that Mark Meadows was a part of. Sidney Powell is going to say, I wasn't advising the president in any which way. I wasn't part of that. So they are going to distance themselves, A, from Donald Trump, and A, from the allegations that are levied against their co-defendants. And we'll see if the judge is receptive to that.
And if the judge were to grant separate cases for those, might we see other co-defendants pursue the same legal action?
Possibly. Everybody's case is a little different. Even though this is a RICO case and it's supposed to be a criminal enterprise, they're all part of the same thing. You have these defendants who are charged a bit separately. And one other aspect I want to mention as well is that certain defendants have asked for a speedy trial. They want to go to trial in October. A, that holds the prosecution to their burden. They better be ready to go forward. And B, from a practical reality, it's expensive. You have legal fees. And so they want to say, instead of holding this out for another year or so, or months, we're paying our attorneys to battle this out. Let's just go to trial right now. And so you're going to see whatever happens here with these 2 or 3 defendants, that may influence other defendants to move forward as well.
All right, a lot can happen. We'll be watching it. Jesse, as always, thank you.
Thanks, Marni.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.